Yellow flags and Jordan Love's passes were all flying high, maybe a bit too high and a little too often. But either way, the Rams are up next for the Pack, and so is our discussion with you, all on your Packers Fan Podcast. Welcome and go Pack Go to you and yours. I'm Wayne Henderson, and unfortunately, Scott isn't able to join us this week. His stepfather passed away the other day. Please keep him and his stepdad's family and friends in your prayers. So stepping in this week, great to have Sir Troy Heinrichs back with me to talk some Packers with you. What's up, Troy?
What's up, Packer Fan Nation? I'm sorry I had to come back in these dire times.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely.
I think the last time I was actually on full time was when we had one of these like dire times. But hey, it's totally fine. I am your former host, Sir Troy Heinrichs, from the Hollywood Outsider podcast, and recently concluded the Blacklist Exposed podcast, all 10 seasons now available for your listening pleasure. And this is episode 283 of the Packers Fan Podcast, where we'll go over the highs and lows from the, can we call it a game against the Vikings? And we'll hear from the PFP faithful as well, because y'all have some great insights to share, and share them we will.
And the LA Rams are coming to Lambeau Field. We'll preview the game. Troy will have some keys to a Packers victory. That's right. I'm talking about there being a victory this coming week, at least if they follow your keys. So let's dig into some of the highlights, such as they are from the Packers' loss to the Vikings. The Packers leaders in the Vikings game, Jordan Love was 24 out of 41 for 229 yards. Didn't look like it on the field really, but he did have a TD, an interception, and 4 carries for 34 yards. Speaking of carries, Aaron Jones had 7 carries for only 29 yards, 4 receptions and 17 yards. And A.J. Dillon, he also had 6 carries, 11 yards, 5 receptions for him, 41 yards. Jaden Reed, 4 receptions, 83 yards, and Preston Smith coming in with 2 sacks, which I greatly enjoy. And it's really interesting, isn't it, that even in a losing effort, our running backs are getting just about as many receptions as handoffs.
Well, I am okay with the running backs getting passes from Jordan Love. That is the reason why Aaron Jones is in the offense, because he is the good pass catcher. And A.J. Dillon should be running better, which is telling me that it's the offensive line that's really the problem for the Packers currently. It's Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are the same people. Jordan Love, yes, he can't throw downfield, but he definitely can throw the short ball. So if we can throw the short ball to the running backs and get 5, 6, 7 yards on those short plays, it's as good as a run. My problem has been, like, these stats just prove it right here. You got A.J. Dillon with 52 total yards and Aaron Jones with 46. So it's like, why is Aaron Jones not on the field more? Right? You have Jordan Love running for 34 yards compared to Aaron Jones 29 yards. At one point in the game, we had more punts than Aaron Jones had touches.
Ouch.
That's a challenge. That's a challenge.
A challenge. That's one word for it, Troy. It's mind-boggling. It's unfortunate, and it's one thing to not have David Bakhtiari, one of the best left tackles in the game, but the other mishmash and periodic injuries is not helping at all either.
It's also the most expensive liability we have on the roster.
You're not wrong.
So, I appreciate David, but it's like we could have moved on from him also last year and probably would have been just fine. And had money that we could have been going after the trade sequences that were going to be coming up here in the next couple weeks as the trade deadline approaches.
It's that close?
It's close. It's coming up.
All right. Let's see what the Packers do. Any other positives jump out at you?
I mean, we only had 1 interception this week. That's a positive. And it really wasn't even an interception. It was kind of a contested jump ball.
That's true. That's true.
So we can't blame that one on Love this week. That one was just, gotta squeeze it. Gotta squeeze it and turn and go.
Yeah, I think being a rookie might have something to do with that. He just didn't realize, the defense is really going to come after these balls and get away with it. He
was like, what? You can rip it out of my hand? That's okay?
Thievery. It was great to see Keyshawn Nixon doing some great things on defense, stuffing some of the pass plays, and then he was on at least 1 or 2 of the returns as well, right? Doing double duty.
For sure. And we did score points in the first half this week.
3.
Granted, still the same 3 that we've scored the last couple times that we've actually had first half points. But I think the highlight of the game was the fact that after the contested interception and subsequent touchdown by the Vikings is that we did come back with a very solid drive to put it in the end zone, albeit on 4th and goal because our red zone offense stinks. But we did get it in the so we overcome, just like we overcame in the Bears game. We have the ability to do the things when things are on the line. We just don't do it consistently.
Fair enough. Any other highlights, or do we have to address some of the lowlights in the game, Troy?
Probably got to go to the lowlights because that's about the 2 best things I saw.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start off with the penalties. They're absolutely killing us. It's the most first half penalties we've had in 11 years. And I know we're a young team, but it's not like these guys just started to learn how to play football last August.
Yeah, but this goes to, I think, what the challenge is on that offensive line, especially it's leadership, right? We have to have a solid leader on the offense. We have to have a solid leader on the defense. And these penalties that we're committing are just dumb penalties, especially when you think about how many drives this whole season have literally been killed because of a penalty on 3rd down, which then makes us, instead of 3rd and short, go to 3rd and long. So we really have to do a much better job of just cleaning up our act and just playing smart. And I think that we get out of our own way much easier.
What's the best way to do that? Just have great speeches from the leaders on the team?
No, because there's now a Matt LaFleur bingo card of like his press conferences about what he's going to say every week. And I think he hit all of them in the press conference yesterday, plus the follow-up press conference that happened today. This isn't a Matt problem. It's not a Joe Barry problem. It could be offensive coordinator problem because we're still doing the same things and we're not getting any different results. So if anything, I would blame offensive coordinator, maybe some play calling choices. But at the same time, there's a lot of balls this week, especially that are on the money and just not being caught, like Dontavian Wicks, who drops a red zone almost touchdown right in the hands in the 4th quarter as we're trying to come back. I mean, that drive went right down the field, had no problem getting there. And then boom, he's on the 3 and it hits him right in the hands and he can't convert that catch. Again, rookies don't have a lot of time. They don't know how fast that ball's coming. We got to do better in practice. Yes, we're talking about practice, people.
Thanks for bringing that one up. Yeah, that non-catch, that one really hurt, as do the injuries. They hurt in many ways. It was hard to watch A.J. Dillon leave the game for a little bit. I mean, granted, he did come back in later. I'm happy about that, but I bet he's going to need looking at. And Rasul Douglas also hurt in the 4th quarter, and hopefully they're both going to be fine because we've had enough injuries. And this seems to happen every single year. Going way back to all the years we've talked on the show, there's been injuries. But this year could be one of the worst.
I think we started off in a pretty bad place, and I think that probably put us behind the 8 ball a little bit, especially with Jones being out after that Bears game. It really adjusts your entire offense and everything you install during the preseason and how you have to adjust for the new quarterback, the new scheme, a new running back, and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, injuries are definitely a problem. But then you go back to Matt LaFleur. You were there, Wayne, with me. Arizona, B squad. Arizona's undefeated. And we came in with a complete underdog of a team. But we did have Aaron Rodgers leading the charge. But the rest of the team was the B squad. And I believe that was Rasul Douglas that actually got that interception that sealed the victory for us in the desert of Arizona. So look, injuries happen. You got to overcome. You got to step up. This is professional football. You get paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to do this stuff. You got to play like you're a professional football player.
Fair enough. And the Cardinals haven't been the same since that game.
Yeah, this is very true. Very true. It was like devastation set in thanks to the Packer fans who rocked that place.
Yes, we did.
I think the biggest thing about the offense that's really been bothering me is that Matt LaFleur, if you remember when he was with Tennessee, he does all this stuff talking about run the ball. Again this week, 41 passes, 13 runs.
Oh boy.
Right? This is not Matt LaFleur football. So there's something that's just saying either the run scheme is broken or people are figuring out what our run scheme is because Matt LaFleur now is in his fourth season as a head coach. I think that's right. He had a couple 13-3. Yeah, 4. So like maybe it's time to figure out how we mix some stuff up and go with a different scheme because whatever we're doing is not working. And maybe that's bench Love, go to a different quarterback. Maybe that's play a third string running back. Any change at this point is something different because all I've seen for the last 6 weeks is the same thing. So the definition of insanity is what?
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Which is not happening.
Not yet. No.
So just something has to be different. And I don't know what it is. And I don't think it's going to change by the time we suit up next week on Sunday. But yeah, it's getting to a point now where if we don't score a touchdown in the first half of the football game, I might have to sell my Bears tickets in January.
Oh.
And I look forward to that game because that's the one game we should win because we already did once.
We definitely should win that game. They don't look very good.
No, it's not that it's frustrating. It's that we know they're young. We know it's Love's first season. Aaron Rodgers didn't have a winning season his first season out either. So that's like we planned for all of that. It's the fact that the talent is there and it just doesn't click. Because we could have been 5-1 going into the game this week and had every chance to win this game this week and be 6-1. That's the frustrating part. The frustrating part is that we could be overachieving from where everybody expected it to be. And I think that's why we're frustrated. It's not because they're losing. It's because we know the talent is there because we've seen it and we're in all of these games. Every single one of them.
Yeah, none of them are terrible blowouts. That's very well said, Troy. I appreciate that because that's kind of how I feel, and that's kind of why a lot of this season hurts so bad so far. I mean, granted, It's not quite half over, but we're about that pivot point.
And that's why I get frustrated. Everybody's like, Joe Barry. It's like, yeah, there's some weird matchups. I get it. I understand it. I watch the coaches' film just like everybody else that has the NFL Plus subscription. But at the same time, it's the defense that's keeping us in these games. They are on the field like 80% of the game.
Yeah, until they're so gassed, they just can't help but let some things through.
I mean, you look at up to the start of the fourth quarter, there is no reason why we couldn't have beat the Vikings this week, or at least tied and gone to overtime, because the defense is doing their job. I mean, look at how they're coming in and getting at Kirk Cousins. Got to do that next week against Stafford. It's just frustrating. And I don't like to be frustrated on Sundays. It's my day to recharge and be like, 5 days of work is about to show up. Like, just give me some fun on a Sunday, you know?
Well, can I help remove maybe a little bit of the frustration? Because
yes, please.
Just this morning, Rashawn Gary announced that he has a 4-year, $107 million contract extension with the Green Bay Packers, so we do not have to worry about losing him. We'll have some consistency. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think about what that defensive line is doing, when we talked about how well our secondary was over the last couple of years, like the defensive line was the thing that was the issue. Now, granted, we had some run stopping problems as the season started out, but I think we've kind of closed up that gap a little bit as we've gone along. So I think the defensive line is doing really good. I'm still interested a little bit more in the linebacker core is a little bit still iffy for me. And then, of course, we had some injuries in the secondary that we got to deal with. But for the most part, the defense is actually not too bad. At least they're keeping us in games.
That is a Big 10-4. And is it surprising that we haven't this season needed to talk about special teams all that much? They are much improved.
Well, except for that one return they let happen after
one.
The touchdown.
But in years past, it's been just screaming our heads off.
There's still the people if you're standing on letters in the end zone, I don't care if you're 1 yard deep, 2 yard deep, freaking kneel down. Okay. If you're in front of it where there's green grass, maybe a few hash marks and some numbers, fine. Go ahead and do the return because you have to. But if you're standing on freaking Packers written there, like, do not run it out because you're just going to go to where the ball's going to be anyway.
Well said.
It just brings me back those Ty Montgomery memories from the Rams game as we go into Rams weekend.
Here we go again.
Well, should we move in and go ahead and look at our listener feedback?
Yes, we have quite a bit.
You bet. That's right. So if you want to become part of our upcoming podcast episodes, you can record your own voice on your own phone or your own computer, or just email them on in. Either way, you can do all of that through feedback at PackersFanPodcast.com or by calling the Packers Fan Podcast voicemail. Still rocking it at +1 920 3PACK-GO. That's +1 920 3PACK-GO. And as always, the deadlines for your calls are Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, soon to be Standard Time, as the clocks will be clicking back here very, very shortly. And when you do call, please be sure to include your best Go Pack Go for us to use as part of the new Packers Fan Podcast community outro Wayne has been putting together. Heck, feel free to send in an audio message with just some great Go Pack Go's. We'd love to hear those, especially as we get one from Art in Texas.
Thanks, Scott. Art, I'm out here at the park enjoying this nice brisk weather after that another not so good outing by our Packers. Oh, back to the same thing, growing pains. You know, when Aaron Rodgers was there, I remember I would get a little annoyed whenever he would be yelling at everybody and being a diva and, you know, at one point smack the center. But I kind of, not that I miss it, not to the Aaron Rodgers level, but I would like to see that from any of our players. Like, you know, I don't see anybody that stands out as a leader on defense or offense. Like, I don't see anybody holding each other accountable, like getting on each other, like, hey, let's go, like, you know, let's go, and this and that, and like, I don't see them getting upset. Not that I want to see all that stuff, but I guess I kind of want to see, like, them holding each other accountable, like, you know, like, I don't know, but, oh well, we'll see. Hopefully, as the season progresses, they can keep learning and keep gelling with each other. And hopefully next year they can turn it around. I'm not saying that, you know, this year's going to tank already. I'm just, you know. But anyways, regardless, green and gold to them dead and cold. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go indeed. I could tell, Art, if you were like, oh, it's so chilly in Texas with that Go Pack, go. You kind of sounded like a northern Wisconsinner for a minute there, hey.
Oh my. Is it getting chilly in the Midwest?
Oh my gosh, it is. It's actually going to snow for Halloween up here in the Great Lakes region, don't you know?
Perfect. Oh yeah, or hey.
Oh yeah, or hey. Yeah, I agree with you. Art, love to see some leadership from anyone, especially from Love. Just get a little more fired up on the field. It's okay to tell people like, hey, you're supposed to go left. You went right. Or, hey, why are there two people standing in the same place? I mean, we know about the growing pains. We expected the growing pains. We expected the season not to be super, super awesome. I don't think any amount of RELAX or run the table is going to make it happen this year. I'm not looking for playoffs. I'm just looking for consistency and entertainment value, and don't waste my 3 hours on Sunday. And I'll be happy. I'll be happy with a 2-15 season. The 17th game really throws me off.
Yes, it does. It's going to take a while.
But just show up and do the work. Do the work. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, we have another listener a little later on who brings up that exact point. But first.
Hey guys, Joe from Kentucky. Go Pack, go. Just finished watching the game with the Vikings. Not real excited, but not ready to throw everybody out just yet. Got some good and bad. I think the good was that Love was not overthrowing the ball so much, but the bad was that he was underthrowing the ball now, so maybe overcompensating. I think some of the good was not so many crazy play calls, but the bad on that was that a lot of the plays were not executed well, so we need to do some more fundamentals. I think one of the goods was that Love got to practice throwing balls in the tail end of the game, but the bad was because we were so far behind that it just didn't matter. We might as well try those. I think we might need to reevaluate some of our trainers, try and figure out why we have so many injuries. I think we've had injuries for, 3, 4, 8 years. I don't know if we're changing who the trainers are, but I think that needs to be reevaluated so that we can keep our people healthy and start doing some more good. I don't know. I still have faith that we're going to do good. Obviously, we're not going to have a winning season, but I think we're going to get some good practice in. I still have faith in Love, and I think next year we're going to do really well. Of course, we should keep trying to win, but it is what it is. Green and gold till dead and cold. Love listening to you guys. Thanks for keeping up the podcast. Later.
Thank you so much, Joe. Very kind of you to share the love. And I'm with you. We want to see improvement and not ready to throw everybody out just yet, right?
Yeah, there's no reason to jump ship at this point. It's just frustrating. There's a difference between oh my gosh, the 4-12 season, right? And then the 4-26 and crap like that. That's the stuff that'll really just, Brandon Bostic. Let's bring back those memories, right? That's the stuff where you jump out of your chair and just go oh my God, but that's not where we're at right now. We're just what is, somebody give us an answer, right? That's what it is. Is it play calling? Is it the offensive line? Is it execution? Is it we're just young? Just somebody say, this is the problem and we're addressing it. And I think that's what Packer Fan Nation wants to hear. This is what it is and we're fixing it. And we're good.
Like Joe brought up, do you think there's any fix for the injuries? Can it have anything to do with training?
Injuries are injuries. They're going to happen. I mean, it's all fluctuating based on cycles in people's careers. Aaron Jones is, longer in his career now. Injuries are going to happen. It's just the way the game goes. There's a reason why there's a 53-man roster. Granted, it should be a 53-person roster. But at the end of the day, what we need to do is we need to understand who are the people that can step up when they need to step up. And if you don't step up, you don't belong on the 53-person roster.
Fair enough. And by the way, Joe, thank you for your separate voice message with your Go Pack Goes. Yours are the first ones that we've received for recordings. We're looking for more, and then we're going to put them together for the new community outro at the end of the show.
I can definitely tell you, though, I'm with you, Joe, on the underthrows, because I watched the game again on the condensed version on NFL Plus. We're not getting paid by NFL Plus. I'm just telling you, I've always had the subscription. I think it's a very valuable $79 to go back and look at this stuff, because when you look at it in the coaches' camps, especially, you can see where the breakdowns are. Love is accurate within the 3 to, say, 12-yard range, and he throws bullets. I mean, he is making some Aaron Rodgers throws. He's making some Brett Favre type throws, and he's making it happen. Now, when it gets outside of that range, that's when we have some challenges. But there was 4 or 5 where the guy is completely wide open and throwing it at his shoestrings. And that's just, Love has to take his time and know, hey, he's open. Don't get excited. Just do the thing you do. 1, 2, 3, throw. 1, 2, 3, throw. 1, 2, 3, throw. And if the 2-minute drill is working, let's do the 2-minute drill the whole game. Wayne and I remembered that season where we scored a touchdown every 5 minutes. I'm all in for it. Let's go.
Yes, please. And even though not all of his long bombs have been on target, some of them have. And even when they're not, they are pretty balls. I mean, they're sailing well.
He's just got to throw 9 into double coverage, and he has to learn how to. The thing that he's not, where he is not Aaron Rodgers, is he doesn't move the safeties with his eyes. He doesn't make them go somewhere else. He's not doing the Aaron Rodgers looks to the left and throws to his right, and he does not even looking at his receiver. He's got to get better in moving the defense with his eyes and with his motion of his, either batting the ball or taking steps to the side and things of that nature. I think that's where his struggle is right now, is the defense can read him too easily, and that'll come with time.
Good point.
Greetings and salutations. This is your captain, Captain Pack Sparrow speaking. I'm not here right now, but if you leave a message, I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I find those who are responsible for hijacking the USS Lambeau. You see, I believe a bunch of marauders have stolen it, marauding around as the Green Bay Packers, because this is not the team that I signed up to be on my ship. That is all. Beep. Okay, so what's there to talk about, really? Because we've talked about it, going on 4 weeks now. This is, I said it last week, this is like Groundhog Day. Once again, Love proved to be inaccurate on anything deep. A lot of overthrows and underthrows. But then when he did throw an accurate pass, the receivers seemed to drop him. I think there were 4 drop passes. And when there wasn't a drop pass, then there was a penalty. 11 penalties for 99 yards. No discipline. The execution is terrible. And that all starts with coaching. I just feel like there's no accountability coming from the coaches to the players, or the players to hold their coaches responsible or accountable for what's going on with the team. They're doing the same thing week in and week out and expecting a different result. And when your head coach comes out and says the whole definition of insanity phrase that everybody knows, well, sorry, Matt, but you're the one responsible for that. And then he comes out after the game and says that was hard to watch. Well, guess again, who's responsible for that, Matt? That's you. That's on your shoulders. I think he's losing his locker room. I mean, the players seem to sound like they're in step with each other and have each other's back. But it seems like Matt's lost the locker room. I mean, he says that there were no halftime adjustments, but yet first half, once again, 3 points. They've scored 9 points in the last 5 games. And I think they've been outscored. I think the opponents have scored 76 points in the last 5 games. That is unacceptable. And then they come out in the second half, and all of a sudden they right the ship and they make it look like they're going to be mounting a comeback. You know, I started watching this game just for the fun of it and wanting to see what we have to look forward to in the future. And then all these penalties started coming and piling up, and it made it not enjoyable. But then they kind of got into it. You know, they got close enough where you thought there was a chance and you're a little bit more emotionally invested. And then, well, down goes the ship. It's just getting very hard to watch, you know, because like I said, you know, they do bad in the first half. They come back in the second half and you're like, oh, so you're telling me there's a chance? And they just, you know, shatter your dreams on the rocks of the shore. I don't know what's going on with this team. I don't know why they can't make adjustments, why the coaches don't seem to be holding the players accountable, because that indiscipline, that starts with coaching, first and foremost, and holding each other accountable. You know, but on a positive note, at least on Friday, the entire active roster was participating in practice at some level. And we pretty much escaped the game without any injuries. Josh Nyman did leave the game with a foot injury. He's an offensive tackle, so I'm betting that his foot just got stepped on pretty bad. So he'll probably be back next week. So that's good to hear that hopefully we didn't get any injuries. Unfortunately, it's hard to see, even though he's a Purple People eater, it was hard to see, you know, Kirk Cousins go down with another Achilles injury. You know, we saw it with Rodgers, and we saw it on a couple other players this season so far. I think J.K. Dobbins went out in that first week. It's just terrible to see the best players go out in the league, and you know now you have an inferior product on the field because you don't have your best players out there. So that's always hard to see. Now looking ahead, we host the Chargers at home. Currently, the Chargers are putting it on Chicago right now, and they're winning 30-7. And to be quite honest, I don't see much of a different outcome for our boys. I'm going to give it some time, and I'll submit my Wager of Fun score prediction coming up this week in on the Packers Fan Podcast community page. Anyways, this is Dan, and as always, go, Pack, go!
He's got it floated away, Dan. I didn't hear the end of that. He was just taking off on his ship as he moved on because, as he said, you know, the entire 53-man roster participated on Friday. So, yes, we are talking about practice.
Again with the practice, Troy.
I am down with the practice. Yeah, 11 penalties, 99 yards, no accountability. That's got to get cleaned up. That's coaching. That's a coaching problem. It's also a mental preparedness, you know, some word like that. The big thing is that it's really up to all of us to understand. Again, it's a young team. It's going to take some time. It's fine. It's going to be fine. But yes, it's a struggle right now. And the 9 points in 5 games is it's just not good. You got to score. You got to score on that first drive of the game. That was Matt LaFleur's big thing last year, score on the first drive. Where is that? Why aren't we scoring on the first drive with the ball? I don't get it. Don't get it.
Especially at Lambeau Field when almost everything else is in our favor to be able to do so. So when the Rams come to Green Bay this week, hopefully that is the week that we'll take care of that. And Dan, loved Pack Sparrow's voice greeting. Not the team I signed up to have on my ship. Kind of
It's a
sums
good
it
thing
up.
we're not in Tampa Bay then.
Not that ship. That's a whole nother ball of wax. But we were so close to going there COVID year if the Packers would have made the Super Bowl. So close. Next time, Troy. Next time.
Next time.
Well, Wayne and Dan, man, sure wish I could get that excited about the Go Pack Go after this week. I will happen to only listen to the first half on the radio coming home from Chicago on a trip. And this team is just an absolute mess, and it's all on the coaching staff. From the offense, the defense does look good, I think, in some aspect, just not disciplined enough to take bad penalties. And special teams looks atrocious. I like Rich Bisaccia, but somebody figure something out on that coaching staff to get this team turned around. Feel bad for Jordan Love. The guy's pouring his heart out, playing hard every week, making the throws I think he needs to make, and just not getting much help. And man, I think it's time for Matt LaFleur to give up play calling. Holy moly. Watching these other NFL games throughout the weekend and even last weekend, you look at the Dolphins, holy smokes. We just look completely like a 1995 play calling team. Anyways, fellas, hopefully things can get better next week. I'll be in attendance. I'll still cheer loud for my green and gold. And thanks for listening.
Thank you so very much, Alex, for calling that in to +1 9203 Pack Go. And that's awesome. You're going to be at the game this weekend and always supporting the team, always watching the team. And it'll definitely get better. But right now, team's kind of a mess and that's on the coaching staff because of that. And I appreciate what you said about feeling bad for Jordan Love, because it does look like he's playing his heart out. He may not be chewing out some of the guys for not hitting their assignments, but he's doing what he can. He's just not getting much help right now.
Yeah, and if you have Aaron Rodgers in your corner saying that, hey, he's the guy, he's good, I've watched him play. If Aaron's speaking highly of him on Pat McAfee and wherever else he tries to chime in, Aaron knows, right? We watched Aaron play for long. He is probably one of the best quarterbacks you've seen in a long time, from like a Joe Montana or Joe Namath type of year kind of thing. He would have been this era's quarterback to look at. But the big thing that we have to think about here is that the playbook, where everybody keeps thinking like you have to build a playbook around the personnel that you have, and the personnel is young right now. So when you see and compare to other things like Miami, where you have some seasoned veterans on the team, you have to understand they can do things with their playbook that we just can't right now because of the personnel that we currently have. That's a Brian Gutekunst issue. So we have to figure out, how do we craft the right people in the right time? And oh my God, please do something to invigorate the wide receivers with some kind of seasoned wide receiver in the trade options that are going to be coming up on the market, because there are a few out there. And I think that might be the infusion and switch that we might need. So yeah, it seems like the play calling's off, but remember, it's all about personnel. And right now the personnel is a little bit lacking.
Is there a particular wide receiver that could be someone that we go for, that you have your eye
Anybody
on?
that has more than 2 years of service would be fine.
Anybody.
Even Odell Beckham would be fine at this point.
Okay. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first.
Dion, come out of retirement. I don't care. Just anybody that has somebody that can run a route. Somebody that can run a route and catch a ball when the ball is at them the minute they turn around. That's the key.
On the other hand, you make a great point about Aaron Rodgers, considering he's not really on the Packers. He'll someday obviously be in the Packers Hall of Fame and, of course, the NFL Hall of Fame. But
and most likely retire as a Packer.
And come back to retire as a Packer. But at the same time, he is saying all the right things and saying nice things about Jordan Love. And he was even out there in New York, just in his street clothes, warming up. He could be primed to make a miraculously quick return to the NFL after his Achilles injury. That would be insane.
It'd be insane. Dan Marino didn't come back for a whole year. Now, granted, modern medicine, things have changed, obviously, since Marino's time, but Marino never played the same way after his Achilles tear. He didn't plant the same. He, threw from his toe. Like Achilles tears are career ending for the most part for most people. So it'll be interesting to see, maybe he just, he can stand. There's a difference between standing on the sideline and tossing the ball around and play catch with your dad and actually planting your foot and getting racked, 24/7 out in practice in a football game. So just keep that in mind. Just because you see him throwing a ball doesn't mean he can actually play in the NFL with that injury.
Again, I'm tempering my expectations. I hate that.
Kirk Cousins, he'll be back next week. No, I'm just
Heard it here first.
Hi, Wayne and Scott. This is Megan. I was at the game last night. I have a little bit more of a voice today than I did after the home opener, and I'm not surprised. I feel like there's a lot to say maybe, but there's also not much to say. It was amazing to be at Lambeau as always. Anyone who's been there knows it's just like a whole experience, and it's fun, and it's lively from bright and early in the morning until the game is over. I feel like they're special fans, even when they're not doing as well as we would like. They still end up jumping to their feet and cheering when they do make a play. There just weren't a lot of those to be made yesterday. Our seats were very far away, so we had like a great bird's eye view of the whole field, but it was hard to see like individual players. I found myself going back and forth between the screen and the field. But three people, really two, but three that stand out to me during that game were Keyshawn Nixon. I thought he played very well on defense. I was listening to something Rich was talking about the day before the game about how he hasn't had as many opportunities to run the ball back, but I thought that he played well defensively for us. Quay Walker, I thought, played well for us as well on defense. And I mean, obviously it has had to be defensively played because our offense doesn't quite click yet. I understand that every year is just more reinforcement that this is like a rebuilding year, a new team, a young team. And maybe I should adjust my expectations. Like playoffs might not be a thing this year, and that's okay. That I still love the Packers. I still bleed green and gold. I still watch all the games, go to the games, and root for them. But it's definitely unusual to have game after game after game like this where they just can't really seem to put things together. Defense plays all game long, it seems. I thought Devondre Campbell also did an amazing job. I was very happy to have him back. He seemed to be all over the place. I don't know if they're just like discouraged or if they really just, this isn't the right blend of guys and coaches to like make it work. I think they had 10 penalties. There were like, I feel like all I saw were yellow flags. Like that was what I could see from super far away were yellow flags all the time. And I don't know how to address that. I don't know if that's like I've been saying to go back to the basics and foundations of the game or what it is. Like I know people reference money and the salary cap, and I know we still have money going to guys that aren't on our team and things like that, but we have a bunch of players that, qualify to play in the NFL, so I still feel like they should play like they're in the NFL. They get paid lots and lots of money to do this. It's their job. I was like, what if I just didn't show up to my job as a ICU nurse? Like that just wouldn't fly. So I don't know. I know it's different, but it's their job. And if that means they need to be doing less social media outside of work and watching film and studying the way Devontae would, then maybe that's what they need to be doing. I don't know if the focus is off. I really don't know. That I know that's like an individual characteristic of every player, but it still comes from coaching. Lots to say, I guess, but bring on the Rams. Scott, you did a great job reading in my voice last week. I really appreciate that. And thanks for the podcast. I will keep listening, keep calling, win or lose, green and gold till I'm dead and cold, baby. Let's go.
Right on, Megan, as always. The biggest thing I think is that people forget that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so the reason why all those yellow flags are on the field, it's because we have the pink hankies going in the stands. So next week, the yellow hankies return to the stands, and we should be okay.
It's that simple. Okay.
It's that simple. That's my expert opinion, Wayne. Expert opinion.
I had never heard that anywhere else before. But it's so cool. Megan was at the game.
I know. I love people that go to the game. Being at Lambeau is an amazing experience. I will be there on the 19th. That's the Chargers, if I remember correctly. And as well, I'll be at the Bears game in January. So if you don't have tickets to the Bears game, because remember, we already beat them once. So that should be a win for us. So definitely get your tickets for January 7th, I believe, is the Bears for the home finale of this, whatever the seasons we're going to call it at the end of the day. But, you know, we still have time to turn it around. Again, the biggest thing is that the defense is playing way too much. We need to have offense start moving the ball, start running some time off the clock. We got to get the running game going. The running game is void this year. Void. And I think that's been our biggest challenge, because if you get a good running game, it opens up the passing game. Everybody knows that Lord is passing. That's why he's having so much struggles.
And it would help our defense to not be out there playing like 80% of the game.
For sure.
Give them a little bit of rest. But yeah, Keyshawn Nixon, Quay Walker, Devondre Campbell's all getting your shout outs. And Troy, earlier you mentioned the practice word a few times. Megan mentioned a playoff word.
Hey, run the table from here. We're in. This is actually I just got my playoff seat assignments because I'm a season ticket holder. My playoff seat assignments are 122, row 20.
Whoa.
I am 25 rows closer than my current seats. So if there was a year to go to the playoffs, I'm going to have probably the best seats I'm ever going to have. I expect us to do better going forward.
That would be great.
Familiar foe coming up this week.
Oh, yeah. Now, our weekly poll question, which we post in our Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com, as well as on X at Packers Fan Pod. I normally try to have one that looks on the positive, but this week it was hard. So I just wanted to know, what is most wrong with our Packers right now? Is it the defensive scheme? Is it the defensive execution?
No.
Is it the offensive play calling?
No.
Or is it the offensive execution?
100%.
Wow, that was easy.
Maybe the fans weren't 100%, but that's exactly where I would have voted.
Oh, okay. I am torn. I'm kind of thinking of the offensive play calling, but like you said, you've kind of convinced me that we just don't have the personnel for much more than that.
And we move the ball. Like, if you go back and watch the game, we move the ball. It's either a penalty or a drop pass. A penalty or a drop pass. Yeah, Love had a 3-interception game a few weeks back, but he, for the most part, takes care of the ball. I mean, the one interception this week really wasn't his fault. I mean, yeah, he threw the ball a little high, so he had to jump up to go get it. But, you know, we can run the 2-minute offense fairly well. We can get into the red zone. It's red zone execution, and it's down in distance because of penalties.
And one thing that kind of inspired me to ask this particular question was just some of the wild comments all over social media. Fire Joe Barry, fire Matt LaFleur, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to, kind of touch base with our community and see if we're thinking a little different. And we kind of are, because when the votes came in and you combine Facebook and X, only 2% said the defensive scheme, 3%, and that's all, said defensive execution.
So leave Joe Barry alone.
Yes. 15% said offensive play calling. 76%, Troy, went with offensive execution. And
because you know why?
Why?
We have the smartest fans that listen to this podcast.
Well, of course. We did get a write-in option from Jacob Searles. They got 4% of the vote. It was kind of a tie for our worst of. He said it's got to be play calling combined with execution. So
I could see that, because the play calling issue is the fact that we're not running the ball. If we were running the ball, the passing thing would work itself out.
yeah. So with these poll results, it looks like everything's pretty much fine on the defensive side of the ball if they could just get a little more rest and not have to play the whole game. So leave Joe Barry alone, maybe even leave Matt LaFleur alone as well.
Yeah, Jen Tyler said all these are viable options. It's clear the offensive execution is our biggest problem. The throws, the drops, the penalties, the penalties. We get some momentum, then Love overthrows or underthrows. We get some momentum, and then Love makes the throw, and the receiver drops it. There's at least 4 to 5 drops in the game. To start the game, I believe there were 7 offensive penalties in the first half alone. No momentum can be established with this kind of sloppy play. And to wrap it up with a pretty little bow, execution begins with coaching.
Amen to that. And Jared Mancini-Kerr said the bright side of all of this season, the Packers don't have to even try and tank on purpose to get the number 1 first-round draft pick. They're genuinely that bad. Ouch.
Whoa, slow down, Jay. Whoa. We're not bad. We're just confused.
Oh, okay.
We have no idea what identity this team is right now, because this team very easily could be 6-1. Like, we were in every single game we have played, even with 3 interceptions. Hell, we were even semi-decent against Detroit until the fourth quarter. And it's just the fact that we don't know what we want to be when we grow up. And that's just it. We have to grow up to figure that out.
You know what this sounds like? It sounds a bit like you might have found my rose-colored glasses, Troy.
I didn't find any rose-colored glasses. The team's terrible right now.
Oh,
I was thinking about selling my Chargers tickets. I mean, come on. That's
oh my gosh.
Like, I don't want to make it's an effort, right? It's a 3-hour drive up there. It's a 3.5-hour drive home because of the traffic of the Milwaukee game. You know, it takes energy to get up there and cheer and sit outside on the metal bleacher. And yes, I would do it until I'm green and cold, until I'm dead and cold. But at the same time, if I can make a couple $100, anybody's interested, hit me up, in the Facebook comments. I'd be happy to talk swaps, Well,
they definitely are great seats. I can vouch for that. And not that it matters too much in the scheme of the game, but on the Milwaukee games, do you really notice that much more traffic going that way home? Because, you kind of have to go through Milwaukee to get to where you are. Yeah.
I mean, most of the people will come down 43. That is an absurd. The stretch that goes from 41 to 43 on 172, it all comes down into one lane, then it opens up for 2 lanes and kind of tricks you, and then it goes back down to 1 lane. Like, that is annoying. If you're going back home, there's a lot of back roads that'll get you to Oshkosh or Appleton, and then 41 smooth sailing. Do not go down 43. Save your soul.
No matter how many Culver's restaurants are along the roadside.
There's nothing. That's the other thing. There's nothing on 43. So, like, if you're hungry, you want to pull over, you want to wait out the traffic for half an hour, there's nothing on 43 for a long, long way.
That's worse than I thought.
Maybe Sheboygan. So, yeah, definitely 41 is the way. If you're going up to the game from Milwaukee, Chicago, Madison, Fond du Lac, any of those like down south, 41 is your ticket. So much better options, especially if you go up early like you should, because if you're going to the game, you should be in line getting into the stadium an hour before, because then you miss security, all that fun stuff. Buy something inside, support the people that are doing the stuff at the stands, all that fun jazz. But yeah, let's do not sit on 172 for the love of God. It's so awful. It's so bad.
And there's your annual Green Bay PSA from Sir Troy Heinrichs. Thank you, sir.
But go to the game. And if you've never been to the game and you want to go, talk to me. We'll work something out. And you know what? You all can also find out how you can become a fan of the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. And we want to share your Packers fandom origin story right here on the show. You can call 920-372-2546 or email your audio recording to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. There are some great conversations happening in our Packers Fan Podcast group. We got good Patreon stuff going on. Check it all out. Join on in. It's an amazing time to be a member of the Packers Fan Podcast community.
And with that, let's preview this game because this is potentially our get-right game, Troy. Your 2-5 Green Bay Packers are fortunate that they get to stay in Green Bay again this week and host the 3-5 Rams Sunday, November 5th at high noon Central Time. And of course, we will have the time change here in most of the states overnight Saturday night. So for you folks that are overseas, it may adjust when the game actually starts for you. But this will be the 99th meeting between these two historic teams. The Packers lead the series 49-47 and two ties.
Whoa. The Chargers, historic team, really?
Rams, Troy.
Oh, okay, Rams are historic. That's right.
Well, they're
all blue and white, and they all play in the same city. It gets confusing after a while.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. So I'll call them historic, not as historic as us. I mean, come on. But, they've been around a while. We beat the Cleveland Rams in our first meeting back on October 17th, 1937. You remember it well. Final score was 35-10.
Oh, wait, this is the team that was in Cleveland, and then it was in St. Louis, and then it was in that again. Why are they historic? They move around so much
because
no one knows where they're playing this week.
Longevity. The Tulsa, Oklahoma Rams. I don't know. After watching the Packers lose to the Rams, like you mentioned earlier, with you on October 28th, 2018, at least since then, the Packers have won the last 3 games in a row. And although the 2 Packers and Rams games that I've been to in person both left the Packers with not enough points when time ran out, I did have a great time at both those games. One was with Magic Man, Don Mikowski at quarterback, and of course the other with you, Troy, with AR-12. So
that's a fun time. That place was rocking. 70% Packers fans.
It was a beautiful sight indeed. It wasn't that big of a percentage back in the Don Mikowski days, but back then when the Rams played at Angels Stadium, they actually had pretty dang good lasagna before the game, and you could put on as much Parmesan cheese as you wanted. Help pass the time. Yes, indeed. Sunday's weather at Lambeau Field is forecast to be cloudy and cool, around 48 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 9 degrees Celsius at kickoff. Perfect football weather. And with that being said, Troy, what do the Packers have to do to get back to our winning ways this week?
Strategy, Wayne. That's the key word. Strategy. Have a strategy. And strategy number 1 is going to be control the middle of the field on defense and rush the crap out of Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is a pretty good passer. He can put the ball in a lot of different places, but if you are up in his face, then it really disrupts his method of throwing. So we need to send everybody in there and get him. Preston Smith, Sean Gary, shove it, quite everybody. Just go in there. Devonta Campbell, get them all in there. Stack them up, get in this face, because that is how we're going to have the secondary pick 6 all day, because that's the only place that points come from is on defense.
Oh, okay.
At least currently. Strategy number 2, we have to corral the receivers. Yes, so while the front 7 is pushing in on Matthew Stafford, the secondary has to keep Kupp and Nakua. There are formidable receivers and probably some of the best the Packers have actually played against up to this point this year. So our Packers secondary, which has been amazing in the past, needs to be up to the 2021 season caliber this weekend and shut down those 2 formidable threats. And then, of course, number 3, Darion Kendrick is the weak point. Yes, that is right. He has not made the second-year jump that everybody expected him to do. So we need to get this mismatch on Kendrick, either through a tight end matchup on a crossing route or leverage the height of our receivers with Daubs having 2 inches and Watson having 4 inches on the height on Kendrick. So if we can get that matchup, we can do some of those quick corner post throws for that, red zone conversion that we need to get moving. We definitely need to take advantage of that matchup if we're in the red zone, especially with goal to goal.
I love it, Troy. I absolutely love it. Those make good sense, and I can see victory. I can even smell it from here. It's going to be a happy day at Lambeau Field when we take care of business in that way. Last week in our 2023 season wager fun, Scott wins again. because he picked a Packers loss. So by default, he wins on the back of a Packers loss. It's a sad day, Troy.
It is a sad day.
And in the listeners section, Brett Connor and Dan Dyler tied with a differential of 8. They both guessed different scores, but had the same differential. So right now, David Newman has 3 wins so far. There's a tie for second place now. Brett Connor and Dan Dyler both with their 1 win. And Scott leads me 3-1. This has never happened.
Well, hey, things change, just like Aaron Rodgers not playing for the Packers. So
that's been my downfall. But so let's take a look at what we predict for this week's game. And Troy, let's start off. What do you predict is going to happen?
I am predicting a loss, unfortunately.
This is shameful.
Until I see a win, I can't predict a win. But it'll be close and it will be entertaining because that's what I asked for. So I expect Green Bay 17, Rams 21. Rams pull it out in the closing minutes of the fourth quarter.
Sadness, all around sadness. Scott texted in his prediction. He's also predicting a loss. Rams 27, Packers 21. However, would you be surprised that I am picking a Packers victory this week?
I'm not.
I didn't think you would be. It's going to be close, though. Like you said, Packers 21, Rams 18. How about the listeners?
The listeners, Brett Connor is for a loss, 14-10, Rams. Steven is a loss, 17-14, Rams. Newman. Picking the win.
That's right.
I love the faith. Green Bay 20, Rams 17. Jay Walters coming in with a win as well. Green Bay 16, Rams 12.
It's a low-scoring affair, Jay, but hey, a win is a win is a win. Because the NFC North...
That's also some really weird scores. Are we playing hockey? Like, what's the baseball season?
We're at Lambeau. There could be weather. It could be missed kicks. Maybe the Rams are going to get 4 field goals. And we
didn't even talk about how bad the kicking situation was in this Vikings game, right? Well, there was the whiff, there was the doink, there was the, thanks for the extra attempt, and then there was the block for the catch and the run back.
That was sweet.
All kinds of weirdness going on with the kicking game this week.
So who knows what's going to happen this coming Sunday. The NFC North is still up for grabs, though the Lions early looked like they were going to run away with it. They're 5-2. They're playing the mighty Raiders right now on Monday Night Football, so who knows what way that's going to go. It's sad to say that the Vikings have moved up to 4-4, but with Kirk Cousins out, we'll see what happens there. The Packers, boy, Troy, it pains me to say that we are 2-5, and in last place, the Bears, who are 2-6.
Yeah, let's split that. Let's say we win the Atlanta game, we win the Broncos game, right? 4-3. We are in the hunt. So this is not a season to be freaked out about just yet. There could be some changes coming. I hope that's the case, but we're not out of it yet. Because remember, people can get into the playoffs just by winning their division at some stupid under 500 record because we have not changed it to the Troy method of scheduling football yet.
Your method is legendary. And yes, I think the 2 times that teams won their division and made it into the playoffs with a losing record were both the NFC East, right?
West, I believe it was, that 1 year.
Oh, the West one year and the East in another year, yeah. So
never the Norris division, though. We are winners.
Can't wait to hear you say that about the Packers again, Troy. We're winners. Some other things.
In some people's hearts.
Some other happenings around the NFL this week. Games, it would have been huge upsets if you would have predicted these over a month ago. But now the Broncos fairly easily beat the Chiefs in the cold of Denver, and the Bengals are back on track and beat the Niners in Frisco. The Niners, everybody was talking about them going undefeated. Now they've lost 3 in a row, Troy.
Well, they lost a quarterback too, so, I mean.
That plays into it. Did you see what the Broncos Stadium did to troll the Chiefs?
This is the one time that I wish our good friend Hank Davis was still doing, that's not football, because this was so epic. It put a smile on my face the rest of the day. It just took that whole Packers loss away because it was so good.
The loss in particular, or what happened after the game?
What happened after the game?
Tell us about it.
As far as I was under the impression was that the Broncos decided to troll the entire Chiefs team after not only thwomping them, they also then decided to play Taylor Swift songs over the loudspeakers as they left the field. It's classic.
That is classic. That is a troll high-level execution right there. Little Taylor Swift for the Chiefs fans, because, wow, you can't make that stuff up. This year is just crazy.
Broncos are like, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Oh, my gosh, Troy. Now, I know you have other podcast happenings. Tell us about it. What's going on?
Yeah, we are doing the Hollywood Outsider is the big one that we're currently working on right now. Obviously, if you don't know about entertainment industry, there's been a little bit of a kerfuffle with a writer's strike and a Screen Actors Guild strike against the American Motion Picture and Television Producers who run the big studios such as Disney and Netflix and Apple and all those other ones. The writer's strike is over, so we're getting people back to work on that front. But the writers or the actor side is still out. There's some progress that was made over the weekend. We're thinking that maybe it'll be coming to a close, but it's going on 4 months now. So we're a little bit light on content to talk about as far as movies and TV go. But we are also having some fun talking about some other topics that people might not be super familiar about, like the history of movie theaters and how movie theater projection houses actually came around. So very interesting episodes there over on thehollywoodoutsider.com. We also talked about how they're not just movie theaters, they're actually exhibition houses. And how cool would it be, NFL, if you're listening to this podcast, because you're clearly not listening to ours over on the Hollywood Outsider. But we talked about why not have the Monday Night Football game in the market be shown in a movie theater? And then you could actually buy your popcorn and snacks and stuff at the bar and literally have a stadium-like experience. Because for those that don't know, Taylor Swift actually circumvented the American Motion Picture and Television Producers Organization and released her Eras Tour concert film in the theaters on her own, right? Made a deal with AMC directly to release this movie. So the NFL could now follow suit with something similar and say, hey, AMC, let's go ahead and air Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football in a movie theater. Wouldn't that be awesome?
I've never heard that before. I think that could work, especially in markets like Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and things like that. They have the huge fandom that follow the teams around.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, I would go watch Monday Night Football with a bunch of Packer fans in a movie theater versus a bar. Absolutely, for sure.
Let's get the word out. That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for giving back to your Packers Fan Podcast via Patreon. We really, 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 really appreciate it. Details for becoming a patron and some of the fun swag perks you can get and other ways you can give back to the show, like virtual bratwursts. You can find the details at packersfanpodcast.com/giveback. And with that, I want to thank Jay Walters with a Go Pack Go for supporting the show at the Rogers 12 level and Go Pack Go. And thank you, Dan Dyler, for your Jordan Love-inspired support of the Packers Fan Podcast.
Go Pack Go. And thank yous to these wonderful Brett Favre level supporters, Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast and Colm Nolan from Ireland, still going strong. Also at our Curly Lambeau level, Go Pack Goes, and thank yous to Joe Christensen and Hank Davis, as we mentioned, from the TPE network of podcasts. If you are available and feel led to give back to the show, please check out all the details at packersfanpodcast.com/give back. You can also send actual bratwursts to my house. You can get that address by emailing Troy at packersfanpodcast.com.
Actual bratwursts, freeze dried.
I don't need virtual, man. Send that real stuff. Let's go.
That's a good point.
It's deer hunting season coming up. I need all the deer sausage. Deer sausage.
Oh, so good. Please tell your friends about the Packers Fan Podcast. Let them know that Wayne and Scott look forward to having them become new listeners. And thanks for filling in for Scott this week, Troy. Much appreciated. Great to podcast with you again.
Absolutely. And remember, the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast is not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. Please tell your friends. Let them know that Wayne and Scott will be here each and every week. Win or lose, green and gold till we're dead and cold. Go Pack Go, everybody.
Go Pack Go indeed. And here's community member Dan Dyler to help get us all amped up. And as he likes to say with Megan, loyal to the soil for when the Rams come to town to be on the Lambeau soil.
All right, this is Dan, a.k.a. Pack Sparrow, and Brett.
Coming in from Tottenham, all the way from London, England. And this is the Go Pack Go.
Go, 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 go.
Go Pack Go!